High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened. This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run. Don Mattingly. Taco makes one. Deep left field. Down the line. That ball is out of here. Out of here.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Tablesetters, covering all things Major League Baseball. As always, I'm Steve. Join my tag team partner, Devin. What's going on, man?
What's up? What's up? It's a beautiful day, or it was a beautiful day here. We had baseball on the TV for the first time in a long time, or at least meaningful baseball. Sure, it was at 6 in the morning, but you know what? 6 in the morning baseball is better than no baseball. So all good things, man. We're officially rolling a little bit of a tease here because we're going to have another stretch here to wait after tomorrow's game. But I'm glad to have baseball just about back here.
Absolutely. And again, when we're always looking forward to this Tokyo series, and we'll jump into that in our opening say. But first, let's take care of some housekeeping. We have a packed show, as Devin mentioned, for you. A quick reminder, make sure to like, subscribe to us, follow us on social media, follow us on Instagram and on X at TablesettersPod. Everywhere you can find us. Leave a 5-star review as we kick off this season here. I mean, what else can you want? We're giving you guys division previews. We're giving you guys predictions for the season, nonstop content for you guys every step of the way. We hope you guys are enjoying the journey thus far.
Yeah, man, this is a heck of a week and a half here. Basically, this was our 7th episode in about, I guess, a week and a half span, a 2-week span at the most here. So it's been kind of fun. And, we'll have to put an episode in there at some point next week before the opening day, which is what, on a Thursday, 27th? Yep. So, yeah, I think we'll probably have at least one more episode before all the games kick off. What that episode may be, maybe we'll try to shoot for a guest. Maybe we'll do a college baseball episode. I know Steve's itching to talk college baseball, so maybe that'd be a good thing to do next week. But we're wrapping it all up here today, 6 division previews. So now we're going to try to put it all together, put those teams in our brackets, tell you what we think, and then tell you about some of the awards and look into our crystal ball here and see what we find.
So before we put a bow on all our predictions here, let's hop into the opening say here and talk about what went down in Tokyo. Of course, as we discussed before, if you guys are on your way to work, listening, watching the game in some capacity at 6 a.m., you are a diehard just like us. But it was a historic day at the Tokyo Dome. Chicago Cubs, Los Angeles Dodgers, Shota Imanaga, Yoshinobu Yamamoto became the first pair of Japanese-born pitchers to start against each other in a season opener. And, we mentioned this before. We had Imanaga delivering 4 hitless innings, no runs, issued 4 walks. Yamamoto conceding 1 run, 3 hits, striking out 4. The Dodgers wound up rallying, getting a 4-1 victory. Shohei Ohtani, of course, coming back home, contribute 2 hits. He had a 9th inning double over there. So a really exciting game that we checked out. Big story coming out of this, Devin, was obviously Mookie Betts and his health and the late scratch from Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, I mean, a weird start for the Dodgers, I would say, with that news. I mean, on the field, they looked like the well-oiled machine we expected them to be. Down 1-0, and then all of a sudden the game turned. Big error at one point from John Birdie, really bad throw, which is notable because he was one of the former Yankees to kind of call out the Dodgers and say, like, I don't like that they were kind of talking shit after winning the World Series about the Yankees. So hard look for him there, putting that out there and then having a pivotal play in this game. But it's game 1, long season here. But yeah, to talk about those situations with Mookie and Freddie, at least some concern. I mean, Freddie Freeman was scratched with what was called like not a rib injury, but rib discomfort. And when you first see that, it's a little bit concerning. I mean, I own him in our fantasy league. So I saw that. I was like, oh God, is this going to be an oblique? Because we know obliques can cost players a pretty decent amount of time. But after the game, he was quoted as saying he's 75% sure he's going to play the second game in Tokyo. So we will find that out really in just a matter of hours from when we're recording. And if you're listening to this, there's a good chance that game has already taken place or is in the middle of taking place. The Mookie situation is, I mean, more to come, I guess. 15 pounds he's lost. I know Dave Roberts was saying they were considering sending him home early. Do you know if that happened?
I didn't see if he was sent home, but I did see the report about the 15 pounds. And all I kept thinking of was that neurovirus that was going around about a month ago. Who knows what's going on over there? We're on the East Coast over here recording. Everyone was getting sick with some capacity of that, the disgustingness that is that stomach virus. But 15 pounds is a lot. And it's not like Mookie has a lot of excess weight. Dude's really in shape. So he's got to be feeling it. And anytime you're sick like that, I mean, it sounds serious as well. And then being that he is overseas or international, I'd imagine that the worst place you could be is a hotel room while you're feeling that way. So uh, more to come. Like, we don't want to pass judgment on what we think it might be. Like I said, neurovirus, but that's what it feels like it is, because uh, there was a lot of sickness going around this winter. And again, we're on the East Coast. West Coast is different. So maybe it's traveling in an odd way or whatever. But I mean, you were talking about before, everyone we knew was sick for the longest time, and then maybe just be getting over there. And you got a lot of different germs co-populating, of course, internationally. And now you got these players on the field together, and it's something that happens. And unfortunately, Mookie Betts is sick at the worst time of the year.
Yeah, man. A lot of us have been there before. I will say, being that type of sick, like overseas, away from home, like you said, in a hotel room, there's almost nothing worse. Personally, when I heard this, I thought of myself. Years ago, my wife and I went on our honeymoon to Bali, which was awesome. Super, super long flight, obviously. In the middle, we were there for like 10 days. In the middle of it all, so the second location we had gone to, I guess I ate or drank something I shouldn't have. And when I say I was sick, I don't even know if that really does it justice. Like, laying on the bathroom floor for hours at a time, not being able to move, like literally thinking, like, am I going to die in Indonesia? Like, is that what this has come to? And yeah, like, my wife was so concerned at one point, she thought about calling like the hotel doctor, and it was really, really bad. But being so far away from everyone and everything you usually know, even if you're in a beautiful place, it's not fun. We've all heard of like Montezuma's Revenge, right? Like, don't drink the water in Mexico. But that was Bali Belly, I believe it's called. So that's what I thought of related to it. I'm sure everyone can relate to stomach viruses and food poisoning. Like, it's just it's rough, and it takes such a toll. It can make you lose weight, like Mookie's losing weight there, and just make you feel depleted for days and days at a time before you start feeling like yourself. So who knows if this is something like that they have to put him on the IL for. I know there's some time in between the second Tokyo game and the actual start of the season, so maybe that's enough time, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and Dave Roberts was very candid about this and open talking about this, and he gave a lot of information for us. He did clarify they didn't know what the origin was. They did reference potential, like you're referencing, saying maybe it was something he ate. But he also said something interesting as well about the dehydration piece. Of course, when you're sick, that is one thing. No matter what you have, drinking water is the utmost importance, but sometimes you're not up to it. And Dave Roberts said when you're dehydrated, that's what opens up a person to soft tissue injuries. We're very mindful of
Yeah.
that. And he said, I think we're really trying to be mindful of not just opening day, but not putting him in harm's way. He hasn't taken live at bats or played in any games in a week, and to not put him in a position where he potentially could get hurt. I just don't think the training staff will feel good about that. And they did send him home. So he's getting ready
Okay.
for opening day against the Tigers on the 27th. But all the best to Mookie, and hopefully he gets right. And like, again, being home in your house and
Yeah.
in your own bed is probably the best thing. And like you said, being in a hotel is not where you want to be when you're feeling that way.
Yeah, that's probably the right idea for, they probably did the right thing there, sending him home and letting him be, somewhere familiar and trying to work through that. So, best of luck to Mookie on the men's there.
So as far as game 2 goes tomorrow, here we have Sasaki taking on Justin Steele, opposing each other in the Tokyo Dome. Of course, the Cubs trying to even the series. 6:10 a.m. Eastern over here for the start. For you, Devin, I know you're up early and traveling to work. Were you able to listen to the game, watch the game at some point in your travels into the city?
Yeah, so I got the game on the Fox Sports app on my train ride as I was posting some stuff to X, like some of the stuff from the episode we recorded for the AL East. So I was doing a lot of multitasking, but at the very least, I was able to kind of keep track of it, kind of watch it here and there. I think I turned it on maybe in like the 4th inning or something like that. Yeah, because Shota was still out there before he was pulled. Yamamoto ended up going 5, so I saw that. Didn't see the end of the game at that point. I was at work, had to put the phone away, but yeah, it was nice to be able to see it. I know I will ask you, I've seen a lot of conjecture on X and social media today and a little back and forth of both sides, but a lot of people expressing I heard on the radio as well, hearing people's displeasure that they feel like MLB is like taking opening day away from the US and it's supposed to be America's pastime and all this stuff. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like this is something that should be taking place not to open the season, but maybe like mid-season or something like that? Or are you perfectly fine with them having these two games like this?
I'm able to separate this series from real opening day. I don't consider this opening day. I know it is the opening
Agreed.
series of the season, but it's not to me the holiday. And I had a beef, and we talked about this during the season when it happened. These international games, there's something missing with them, whether it be the advertisement for them or the exposure, just the presentation of them. And like, the Mexico series that happened last year, we had that conversation. Like, we didn't even know it was
Yeah.
happening. We've been covering baseball all year in depth, closer than you can cover it. We all knew this Japanese series was happening. We all know the pomp and circumstance, the big deal that Imanaga's there, Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani. It's a big deal over there. They got Pikachu, for God's sakes, pregame, doing what they do on the field. It is a big deal for baseball in Japan. I know it's a big market, but my biggest grief with it is the divide from where we are on the 18th and getting to the 27th. It feels like it's too big of a gap. And if we're talking about competitive play and parity in baseball, that's not good for the two clubs here. Like, if we're talking about the Cubs and the Dodgers getting ready for this season, now they have to sit and wait again. Like, I understand
Yeah,
it's
it's not great.
two games out of 162, so it's not going to make or break their season, but it's a bad optic to me, like, for the showcase of it. And again, I don't think it's bastardizing the opening day feel, but at the end of the day, it feels still like an exhibition game, and it always does, no matter what. It's the timing, and it might just be the East Coast bias that we have over here. And I get it. There's fans that aren't in our time zone, but for me, like, it's a non-entity at this point. Like, the Dodgers are going to start either 2-0 or 1-1, and then we go to work when the real season starts on 3/27.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't love it, but I'm also not going to go so as far as some of these other people I've heard of, like they're taking opening day away from us. Like,
But it's been
I
happening, dude. This is not the first year. Like, we've seen it
yeah,
happen before. The Yanks opened
no,
up in Japan how many years ago, and it didn't. Honestly, okay, they start 0-2, 1-1, or 2-0 actually to work with the rest of the season.
yeah, and you're right. I separate this from real opening day, as we call it. I do remember one of my favorite memories from last year's game, and actually one of the only things I remember about last year's Open with the Dodgers over there, other than Yamamoto getting crushed, is do you remember? I don't know her name, but there was a girl who threw out their first pitch, and they panned over to the Dodgers dugout, and these guys, all these professional athletes, it was a very attractive girl. Let's just put it that way. These guys' chins were basically on the ground, like
I
just
don't remember
staring
this.
a hole through this girl. And Freddie Freeman's like innocently walking by his teammates, and they tell him like what they're all distracted by. And he looks quickly and just like runs back to the back of the dugout. Like, I can't be on camera. Like, Chelsea's gonna see me. Um, so that's a good one. If you haven't seen that, whether you're listening or Steve, you go back and look for it. It's like innocent enough, but really funny. They look like a bunch of like teenage boys watching the pretty girl in the school walk by and just all kind of like drooling, not hiding it very well at all. But also, one other thing while we're talking about other countries here, shout out to Canada and Japan. Steve and I noticed looking at some charts this past week that we've been charting in the top 200 in both of those places during these division previews. I don't know if people there have been tuning into other episodes or if we've looked and we've seen that we were only like available in the United States and couldn't really figure out if there's anything we could do. Maybe we've just been around long enough. I don't really know how that works, to be completely transparent, but super psyched to see that expanding our reach a little bit. And if you're listening from one of those countries or another one, maybe we'll chart somewhere else sometime soon. I hope you guys keep it up because we always tell all our listeners how much we appreciate it. So that was some excitement for the two of us seeing that this week.
Well, did I just turn heel on our Japanese audience saying it's a non-entity when they play over there?
Oh no! All of a sudden, we're gonna be bottoming out in Japan.
Well, listen, man, I'm sorry. It is a non-entity over there, but we do appreciate you guys listening in Canada
Of
and
course.
all that good stuff. And yeah, anyone that's listening out there, we do appreciate. You can leave a 5-star review. I know I said during the Open, but it does go a really long way. Shout out to Steve, the Angels fan, who did that last 5-star review. Left us a really nice message. I think he sent it to the Tablesetters Pod X Machine account. but then also told us what he liked about the show and that we're part of his rotation. He wrote that in a review, and it means so much when you guys do that, because people that are looking for baseball content are trying to find coverage throughout the season. There's a lot of podcasts out there. And I think when you are validated by seeing reviews from people that we don't know, we came in contact with him and other people that left reviews through doing this. And to me, it is validating, because when we started this, you and I were like, are we just going to be in the void talking to each other out there somewhere? But it is nice to hear that there's people literally all over the world that's listening to what we're doing over here on Tablesetters.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. And yeah, we appreciate those reviews. I think we're up to like 37 5-star reviews, which is amazing. And maybe half of them, or a little less than half of them, are written on Apple. If you don't realize that, obviously being reviewed either place, Spotify, Apple, somewhere else, is amazing. Subscribing is just as good as well. Telling people about it is amazing as well. But the cool thing about Apple is you can actually write a little review, and some of those are great for feedback for us, like to know we're hitting the mark that we want to hit. Spotify, for whatever reason, you can just put the stars, but you can't write anything, which we'll still take it. But if you didn't know that and you want to help us out over there on Apple, that'd be amazing. So like we always say, we're very appreciative of all that stuff.
So before we move into our segment talking about the MLB playoff predictions, I just also want to put out there, Devin and I had conversation about potentially making Tablesetters merch. So if you're out there and you're interested in potentially purchasing a shirt or maybe a sticker of our logo, let us know. So I know exactly if there's any interest out there. And for those that are leaving reviews, maybe we'll do something where we send you guys a free sticker or something like that, just to kind of give back to you guys and stick it all over your cities. If you want to see Tablesetters stickers like at Coors Field or maybe at wherever, T-Mobile, post it in the bathrooms or whatever on stalls. Just put it everywhere, all throughout the stadium. That's what I want to see. Tablesetters.
Yeah, I like it, man. And if you're tuning in here, Steve and I are about to give you our brackets, and I want to put this out there. The bracket that I'm going to give you is literally 100% correct, so you're welcome in advance.
Well, put your future bets in, because Devin is going to guide you to riches throughout the 2025 season. Let's hop into segment over here, talking about the 2025 postseason. All right, so we're going to be diving into our predictions for the upcoming 2025 MLB postseason. We're going to analyze some matchups here. The one thing I will say is I went through and had to listen back. As we said on our last episode, I thought I had included one extra playoff team. Well, I did that in the AL, so I had to excuse one of the teams. I'll let you know who that is in a second. And I also had to add a National League playoff team in there as well. I left one out. So I did follow the order of the seeding, if you will, for the division. So there are I still kept true to what my predictions were, but I added an extra NL team and I took one AL team away.
Yeah, and good on you for realizing it before we got here. I will ask you before we go ahead and put our brackets up and talk through them. Is out of the 6 teams from each league, are there any that you're already kind of looking back at, like, I don't want to say doubting, but regretting a little bit?
Well, I mean, the feedback we've gotten, especially in our fantasy baseball Discord, where there were some shocking feelings about my AL East winner. It's no secret here. Right? We already did this already. So Tampa Bay Rays winning. I got some eyes emojis, and wasn't as I would say out there as far as a pick. I thought people would have called me out for it. I mean, you got called out more for your Jays pick being where they
finishing
are,
third,
which is wild to me. And I don't know. I feel like with the Rays, I think now that the AL East has kind of taken a hit as far as injuries go, with the Yankees being the aforementioned favorite, I think it was more of an acceptable pick. But yeah, I mean, and I can't lie. It's like not like Garrett Cole and Stanton and Heel being hurt didn't affect my pick. It did. So like, it does change the way the scope looks.
And I sent an image to you guys in the Discord of the PECOTA standings updated as of today. And like PECOTA, even that, it looks like they're struggling. There's a computer system here. Like they have Baltimore simulated to win 88 games and win the division with 88 wins. And then the Yanks with 85 and Toronto with 84.8, like almost 85. Tampa with 82, Boston with just about 80. So like having all 5 teams in the 80s of wins for PECOTA, that shows you how hard that division is to predict right now, especially with the injuries that have affected things big time. For me, I'd say I had the Rangers winning their division and being the only team coming out of that division, and I'll stick with that because that was my call. But a little worried here all of a sudden, and that's what happens if you do some episodes earlier than the others, which obviously AL West was one of our first ones. I think our second one we did about a week and a half ago. Pitching injuries, similar to the Yanks, maybe not as big of the names, but like Cody Bradford goes down. Someone out, John Gray went down. Now you might have to depend more on the youngsters like Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, where I think the original plan was at least one of them bring along slowly. They had to go sign Patrick Corbin today, which doesn't exactly inspire confidence. It's fine, but if you end up having to depend on him for a bit, that's maybe a little bit troubling. So I'm not saying I'm completely down on the Rangers, but if there's one out of the 12 teams I ended up choosing over the last week and a half, I'm a little concerned about that one.
Yeah, for sure. And as we continue to go through this, I mean, we can either look like geniuses or look like we're absolutely out of our mind here. So how do you want to do this, Devin? Do you want to just remind everybody what our brackets look like prior to putting these up so they don't see the results? Because I had gone through each of the matchups and kind of even had the amount of games it's going to take for them to be finished off. So I'm not sure exactly where you landed on that, or if you just had people advancing. I just
So
format.
I didn't do 4 games to 3 or anything like that. We can certainly mention that on the fly, or if you have it ready. But I mostly just did advancing and have my reasoning for each one. But why don't, before we put one of the brackets up, do you want to do mine first or yours?
Let's hop in with your bracket first, because
Okay.
I think our conversation is going to be very similar in some ways. I think we have some of the similar teams that are making some runs, but we'll pop up your bracket here if you're cool with it.
Yeah, let's do it. So for you YouTube viewers, this gives you a little extra spice here. We'll talk over it. Listen, man, like I'm going through this and it's difficult. And I'm also trying not to do chalk because, we could be just doing chalk and it's NCAA bracket season. And you're all filling those out. I had a similar approach here where it's like, all right, I know last year you had the ones, we reached the World Series, but that was the first time in a long time. Typically, we've had some upsets here. So I kept that in mind. I was very surprised at my own World Series matchup in the end, to be honest, but that's what happened. And sometimes you don't know until you put the teams in a bracket and go through it, what you actually think. So anyway, I'll start on the AL side. As you can see, the Red Sox and the Rangers winning their division, the 2 best records in the American League. As I said just a minute ago, a little unsure of that Rangers choice now, but it's in there. And it's a long season, so maybe it's better to have the injuries up front than it is, say, mid-season when things get, a little tighter. So in the first round, the 3-game series, the Tigers will host the Orioles. And remember, all 3 of those games end up being in Detroit back-to-back days. And the Royals host the Blue Jays. As you guys know, if you listen to the AL Central episode, and by the way, if you missed any of those 6, go back and listen. These will make a little more sense. But anyway, very high on the Royals and their expectations. Love what they've done. I know not everybody does. There's plenty of people I've heard that don't even think they're a playoff team this year. Big fan of what they have there. Cole Ragans and Seth Lugo up front. Michael Wacha, if he can stay healthy, not so bad. I like the offense a lot more than most. Bobby Witt's a big deal. Anyway, so on the AL side, they're hosting the Blue Jays there, who, yes, I chose to finish 3rd in the AL East and sneak in there just over the Yankees. I think it'll be tight. I think that team is super, super motivated to finally make some noise. They've bitten me in the ass before, for sure, but we'll see. Maybe this is the time. Anyway, resulting in the Tigers advancing past the Orioles. The Orioles, once again, will get to the playoffs and be unable to make any noise, unfortunately. The Tigers like their pitching staff better. AJ Hinch showed a great skill of managing a bullpen and pitching chaos, as they said. So I like them in that short series, especially at home. Royals, Blue Jays, I take the home team as well. I could see that being a longer series, maybe a 5-gamer. I'm going to take Bobby Witt in the end to push his team through. And then you have Red Sox, Tigers. I could see that 5-game series. I could see it going to 5. And by the way, I slipped on that Royals Blue Jays thing. That's a 3-game series. So I should have said it will go 3, 2 games to 1 Royals. Sorry for that. Red Sox, Tigers. I see that one going 5. But I do see the Red Sox advancing. I I think this is a Boston season. There's something about it where I feel like the momentum is coming their way. I like some of the personalities in the clubhouse. And I think a guy like Garrett Crochet is the real deal. Andrew Bailey as pitching coach is the real deal. Alex Cora is, in my opinion, one of the best managers in the game, is going to get the most out of his team. Royals, Rangers. Again, I think the Rangers, it's kind of the first upset there, and the Royals take it. And then I'm getting Boston to punch through. Bobby Witt has his heart broken. He's left in the dugout again, staring. And you know what? Still young. This is going to be more motivation for him. And I think he's just going to continue to inch closer and closer to the real thing. All right. So Boston comes out of the AL. On the NL side, I have the Dodgers and the Braves taking the 1 and 2 seed. Dodgers as the 1 best record in the league. To be honest, best record in baseball. That's definitely not a stretch. The Braves, I mean, a lot of that depends on staying healthy, but I think it is going to be a little more of a Braves season than last year. In the 3-game sets, I have the Mets and Phillies in what's going to become a little bit even bigger of a rivalry after last year's playoff series. 3-game set, Mets are the home team, finishing in second in the NL East. I have the Mets taking it, and in a way, more so just kind of the vibes of feeling like they have the Phillies number after last year. We've also talked about the Phillies, maybe this being their last chance with this group of players, potentially, with some contracts expiring soon. Kyle Schwarber being one, JT Realmuto being the other. I don't know. I feel like they're going to run out of gas here. They've been playing a lot of long seasons in the playoffs for many years in a row. I just find it hard to believe they're going to stay as healthy. I think they squeak into the playoffs and then run out of gas against the Mets again. Remember, all 3 of those games would take place at Citi Fields. The other 3-game set, Cubs, the other division winner, but they take the 3 seed. Not as good of a record as the Braves and the Dodgers. They're going to meet up with the D-backs, who are desperate to get back to the playoffs after 2 years ago falling short in the World Series, surprising everybody to even get there. And then falling short of the playoffs last year. Corbin Carroll it took a long time for him to get going. I think he gets off to a faster start. Corbin Burns now there at the top of the rotation. Zach Gallen still there, motivated, going into a contract year. I love that. I think they're that pesky team. I take the D-backs to upset the Cubs in that round. So going into the next round, we have Braves, Diamondbacks in a 5-game set. We have the Mets and the Dodgers once again in a 5-game set, this time in the divisional round. All right, Braves, D-backs. This is my other big upset here. The D-backs take the Braves down. I'd say that I see that going 5 as well, and they advance to the NLCS. It's more of a gut feeling for the Diamondbacks this year as I look at it. Mets, Dodgers. Listen, you guys know full well, if you've listened to this podcast before, I'm a diehard Met fan, so it hurts me to say. But looking at the rosters, if everyone's fully healthy, I know Juan Soto's there. I just don't know how the Mets can beat the Dodgers this year as they stand right now in a 5-game set. So unfortunately, I think the Dodgers take that one. And to be honest, I could see it being a 4-game series and not going to 5. So Dodgers, Diamondbacks meeting in the NLCS. Remember, they met just a couple years ago in the playoffs, and the Diamondbacks upset them then. And I think they are the team. Everyone's wondering who can do it. I think it is the 6th seed Arizona Diamondbacks that take the Dodgers down. Just pesky. Just a team that I don't think it's another powerhouse that takes the Dodgers down. I think it's that pesky team that runs, plays defense, puts the ball in play, fouls balls off. And now they have a couple aces at the top of that rotation. So I'm having very strange looking World Series of the Red Sox and the Diamondbacks. And I think once again in the 7-game World Series, the Diamondbacks just run out of gas. Beating the Dodgers almost ends up being their World Series. And it's like an emotional letdown by the time they get to Boston. Boston takes the series in 6. You heard it here first. Boston Red Sox, 2025 World Series champs.
Well, very well spoke about it. And again, I want to make it clear to everybody that Devin and I did not exchange notes prior to this. So when you see my bracket and I have some teams making runs here, you can be like, you and Devin are just copying each other. It's not the case at all.
Remember, our AL East predictions were as opposite as they possibly could have been. So we've had some differences.
Yeah, and we also our AL West was also as well. So I'm going to go through mine as well. And again, I had mine on here, and you guys can see for YouTube, you guys can kind of go through it with me. I had the AL East division winner being Tampa Bay Rays, the wild card team being the Yankees out of the division. AL Central was the Kansas City Royals, with the wild card being the Detroit Tigers. AL West, Seattle Mariners, with the wild card being the Texas Rangers. So the wild card team spread across those three divisions. Seeding wise, the Royals will get the number one seed, which I believe will be shocking to everybody, but they will go out there and do their business. They will get the bye and take on the wild card team. Tampa Bay is going to have the number 2 seed. The Mariners again coming up with the 3rd seed after being the division winner, and the Yanks will be there in the 4th seed. Tigers in the 5th, and the Rangers will return to the playoffs in the 6th seed. For the NL side of things, division winner, of course, the Braves, as I mentioned before, they are the NL East winners. Wild card team, only the Mets coming out of the division. With the NL Central, the Chicago Cubs. And here's the change here, everybody. I had no other team come from the NL Central. I had to add the aforementioned Cincinnati Reds. I'm rocking the hat tonight. I have Terry Francona bringing them back to the playoffs and getting some more exposure there in October. And the NL West side, the Dodgers, as I mentioned, will win that. And the wild card team will be those pesky aforementioned Arizona Diamondbacks. So seeding wise, it's the Braves, Dodgers, Cubs, D-backs, Mets, and the Reds. Going through the wild card round, I'm going to start with the AL side of things. The 4 seed Yankees will take on the 5th seed Detroit Tigers. The Yankees wound up winning 2-1 in this series. Garrett Cole's absence is going to loom large throughout this, and I think the Yankees lineup led by Aaron Judge, and a big name is going to come up all season, Jason Dominguez, who is going to provide enough offense to escape this series, but barely. Tarek Skubal is going to dominate game 2. Yankees bullpen locks down in the decider with a clutch outing from Devin Williams. For the AL West section of things, Seattle Mariners in the 3rd seed will take on the 6th seed Texas Rangers, and they are just absolutely dominated. The Rangers will win 2-0, and the postseason experience is going to pay off. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien will lead a sweep over the Mariners, and we're going to get some silence into the Seattle's bats. It's going to be their issue all year round. They're going to have just enough offense to make it to that division title, but the Rangers are going to make them pay in October. Evan Carter is going to deliver a big go-ahead hit in Game 2 to put them away. For the AL Division Series, Kansas City Royals versus Texas Rangers. Casey again waiting there for them. They're well rested, but unfortunately, the magical run comes to a halt. Texas offense proves to be too much. Dallas Garcia having a multi-home run game, and the Royals rotation struggles against the Rangers' deep lineup. And see you later, Kansas City. We have the Rays and the Yankees taking each other on. This series goes 5 games and a classic AL East battle. Got some pitching duels here. The Yankees wind up edging Tampa Bay out in a Game 5 thriller thanks to a late inning home run from Anthony Volpe, and we get another clutch save from Devin Williams. He's going to be a huge piece for the Yanks all year. On the AL Championship Series side, man, can the Yankees do it back-to-back years? We have the Yankees versus the Texas Rangers, and Texas's offense just absolutely wears down the Yankees' rotation. They bat them out, and like I said, the loss of Garrett Cole will be felt all year, but no bigger than a big situation like this. We have Jacob deGrom throwing 5 strong innings in Game 6, helping the Rangers clinch another trip to the Fall Classic, and there they go. Going to the other side of the bracket for the senior circuit over here, the wild card round, the Arizona Diamondbacks versus the New York Mets. The Diamondbacks go in there and have a sweep. Corbin Carroll delivers a massive series, 3-run home run in Game 2, and then put him away pitching-wise. Zach Allen and Merrill Kelly dominate on the mound. Of course, you got Corbin Burns as well, waiting in the wings over there. Unfortunately, he doesn't even need to be had over here for the Mets. He's waiting for that next series. Pete Alonso, Juan Soto gets shut down after a really good season that they had. On the NL Central side of things, the 3rd seed Cubs take on the 6th seed Cincinnati Reds, and the Cubs barely squeak out. Get a heated rivalry here. I think they're going to be tense all year round. Kyle Tucker has some late game heroics, but I think these teams are going to start to hate each other over the next couple years here, and it's going to be exciting to see. On the NLDS side, the Braves are out there. They're feeling good about themselves. They stayed healthy all year round, so they're facing the 4 seed Diamondbacks. But Arizona goes in there, and for the first time here of many things during this postseason, they're going to shock the world. They take down the heavily favored Braves. Everybody thinks D-backs are dead on their feet. Corbin Burns outduels Spencer Strider in Game 5, and Carroll delivers the game-winning hit in extra innings. Going to the other side of the NL, the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Chicago Cubs. Everyone's loving the Cubs with Kyle Tucker fresh off of it, but they're too much. Shohei Ohtani comes up big, hitting 2 home runs in Game 1. He has another one in the series clincher. Yoshinobu Yamamoto shuts down the Cubs lineup, and also Roki Sasaki's in there playing big moments in the NLCS. When we go to the NLCS over here, Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Arizona Diamondbacks, a repeat of a playoff series here, but in the biggest stage, goes 7 games here. The D-backs wound up stunning the Dodgers, taking down their powerhouse division rivals for the second time in 3 years. We get Burns outdueling in Game 7 over here against Roki Sasaki. if I had my way over here, Gabriel Moreno hits a clutch go-ahead double, and they punch Arizona's ticket to the World Series. And we get a rematch. That's right, a rematch of that great World Series, but it flips around. And I'm going to tell you why we're going to have that. We get Arizona's elite pitching. They got speed and clutch hitting, and then they wound up being too much for the Rangers. And Corbin Carroll, my boy, he's the World Series MVP. He even comes in through on this round, delivering key extra base hits. He steals multiple bags, and we get pitching dominating this. It's going to be a great classic, fall classic, and Diamondbacks shock the world.
So much detail. 21 Jump Street. You've seen that movie, right?
Yes.
There's a quote there where he's just doing some weird accents. So much detail, so much detail. But here's the thing, man. So we had the Arizona Diamondbacks theme, which people, if we put both of those images up on X in a few days from now, people are gonna be like, "What the hell? What's with you guys in Arizona? Are you Diamondback fans?" No. But to be honest, other than that, it wasn't super similar. There's other similarities, but the fact that like I have Boston winning the whole thing, you don't even have Boston in the playoffs, things like that. So I think the similarities are Arizona making a run, obviously. I mean, the rematch between Texas and Arizona, that's super interesting for sure. I'm not sure if Rob Manfred would be a big fan, but the Royals getting to a certain place, like taking the next step, but still falling short, things like that. But I think there are plenty of differences as well. So it's interesting, man. I'm going to need screenshots of both of those so I can post them up on X in a couple days and get some more feedback from people that maybe did not listen.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing is, too, I like the storylines that are emerging here, and the D-backs going through a run here. We mentioned shocking the world, but if they take down the Braves, the Dodgers, and then the Rangers kind of exercising the demon of the couple years prior, that is, a story. That's their second title in franchise history.
Well, you have them taking down my Mets, too. You're just going to throw them to the side?
No, that's, no, they take them down as well. So a big postseason for Corbin Carroll. And I like Texas getting back to the World Series. I was even tempted to have them win the World Series. But I just like Arizona a lot here. And you mentioned before, if anyone's going to take down the Dodgers, it's going to be a familiar foe. It's going to either be a team like the Padres, a team like the Dodgers, someone that knows them very, very well. And if the Dodgers are to do this again here and go straight through, I don't think it'd be shocking to anybody. But for the sake of podcasting and having conversations, we don't want to sit here and just do chalk, as you mentioned before. We're in March Madness season. You don't want to pick the number 1 and number 2 seeds. Let's find someone a little Cinderella. And I think there's nothing more Cinderella than the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yeah,
let's have some fun. I mean, even the Red Sox, man, Pacoda has them for 79.5 wins. And I have them winning the World Series here. So it's a little bit of feel. And like you said, like even when you do those NCAA brackets, like if you get to the end and you have like 3 number 1s and a number 2 seed in the Final Four, you're kind of like, oh, this is stupid. This isn't that fun. I mean, I guess if you're trying really hard to win the whole thing, sometimes that's how it goes. But I think it's fun to, make it a little more interesting. And as we go forward now and talk about our awards for award season, mine, at least, I feel like some are tied to that success that I just predicted for certain teams. So which one do you want to start with? And we're going to go through MVP, Rookie of the Year, Cy Young. Steve's going to mention a batting title prediction, and then I'm going to mention a trade prediction, like a big trade prediction that I think could happen with some detail as well, as we kind of go through the second half or the last quarter of this episode. So what do you want to start with?
So let's start with MVP and let's volley back and forth. And since you went first with the bracket, I'm going to go with my American League MVP. And no surprise, it's Bobby Witt Jr. I have the Royals doing big things this year. I think he's poised to take that leap into superstardom, and I would be kind of a fraud if I didn't pick him here because you and I were waxing poetic of where he is. That power speed combo, we talk about 30 home runs, 50 plus stolen base potential. He's an elite company already, and I think he takes a further step into, like I said, superstardom. He's going to be one of the faces of baseball.
I'm with you. I'm almost tempted just to change my answer on the fly. But same, like my whole reason for having the Royals get as far in my bracket as I have them getting, which is to the ALCS losing to the Red Sox, is based on Bobby Witt and what he's going to do this year and what he's going to bring out of the other guys on that roster. So Bobby Witt Jr., certainly the numbers can be there, but I also think it's going to be him being the face of a team that surprises everybody this year.
So let's go to the National League over here. Since I went first at the American League, you give me your National League MVP.
Okay, so at some point, we have to be a little boring. At some point, we have to be a little predictable. It's Shohei Ohtani. I tried I racked my brain. I looked at the odds. I tried to find someone else that I think was going to be the NL MVP. And I just thought to myself, this guy's still going to be just as motivated. He might pitch a little bit as well. Like, I have to take Shohei Ohtani. I know it's the boring pick, but I do think it is the most likely to be correct pick in this case. And just to look at odds very quickly before I turn it over to you, Bobby Witt, as of now, plus 310. He has the second best odds, just under Aaron Judge. So that wasn't exactly a out there pick either. Shohei Ohtani, let's see, plus 145, almost chalk there. Juan Soto is behind, at least on the page I'm looking for. I know you can find different odds, different places. Juan Soto plus 550 as of now, right behind him. Fernando Tatis, at least on this one, the next one up, which is a little bit surprising at plus 850. But give me your National League MVP.
My National League MVP, one of the reasons this team makes their postseason emergence after a long slumber, the Cincinnati Reds, Elly De La Cruz is
I love it.
NL MVP this year, and there's a lot of great names at the top. You mentioned Shohei Ohtani. He's the chalk favorite here. You can also go with Juan Soto making his return back to the National League. Fernando Tatis Jr. is volleying around there. I was tempted to take the plus 4,000 pick of Corbin Carroll. I think his heroics are going to show up in the postseason. I mean, I think Corbin Carroll is a great pick over here. Elly De La Cruz for FanDuel's plus 2,000 for futures. Kyle Tucker's plus 1,700. Lindor's plus 2,200. Acuna plus 3,000. There's some big names out there if you're thinking there's going to be an MVP, but Elly De La Cruz is my pick here. I think he's going to be a big reason the Reds are competitive and they take the next jump into, they're not going to win a World Series, but being back in October is a big deal for them.
I love that pick. I love that pick a lot. All right, you want to go to Rookie of the Year or Cy Young first?
Let's go to Cy Young for the American League first. And for the Cy Young in the American League, one of the reasons this team is going to win the division is because they're going to be carried by their pitching. And I have Logan Gilbert winning the Cy Young over here for the Seattle Mariners, of course. And, we look at his poise on the mound. He has command improvement, an elite ERA. He's a top tier ace. And if all things go to plan, he stays healthy. You look at that rotation in Seattle. What a hell of a rotation. And they're going to have to be carried offensively. Of course, we're expecting Julio to return a little bit back to the form we saw, but this will be a pitching dominant team and it's going to carry them across the finish line for the division. But ultimately in my bracket, I have them falling short because offense wins a lot of games in the postseason. You have to be able to score runs. And I just don't think they can do it at a high clip, and they're going to run out of gas, but Logan Gilbert's going to try his best and carry them there.
I like that one as well. We know the Seattle pitching is pretty damn good, and he's going to hopefully lead the way for them. So my Cy Young, I mean, as you saw, I'm all over the Red Sox, having them win the American League East and having them going on to win the World Series, pretty shockingly. And part of that is I think Garrett Crochet is going to be everything that they hoped for when they traded a few pieces to get him. To see how good he was in Chicago, in a questionable system with the White Sox. We've heard some things, not the greatest place to be maybe for development. To go from there to Boston, motivation, Alex Cora, Andrew Bailey as your pitching coach, who looks like a stud pitching coach so far in a short amount of time, and a guy that just strikes out the world. The biggest question mark for Crochet is going to be, still only that 1 year of starting, right? Was a reliever before that. And even the second half, the White Sox kind of protected their trade bait a little bit by shortening his outings and skipping his turns sometimes. So the question is going to be, can he bear the full load of a full season of being a starting pitcher, an ace in Boston? I'm going to say he does. And he ends up with the Cy Young, and it's a big reason Boston goes on to be extremely successful in 2025.
So move on to the senior circuit over here, looking at the Cy Young. I have Spencer Strider of the Braves making a huge comeback here, and he's really down there as far as future odds, plus 2,800 on most of the sites over here, below a teammate as well. Spencer Swallenbrook is plus 2,500, so they have him more likely to win the Cy Young rather than his teammate. And similar to Ronald Acuna Jr., I think people forgot how good Strider is. I know he's come back from a serious injury, but he is one of the most intimidating pitchers in baseball. He consistently puts up strikeout numbers. High velocity fastball. Hopefully we see it back there. That elite slider hopefully makes a return. He's a nightmare for hitters. And I'm hoping there's some dominance here. And I hope that we're going to be seeing the Strider that we saw. He was good for baseball. His K per 9 rate was absolutely astronomical. He put people away with 2 strikes, and I think we see more of that this year. And the other thing I saw too, and this was from 2023, of course, because he wasn't on the mound last year, but Strider was nearly unhittable in the first inning, posting a 1.88 ERA, and opponents were batting just 174 against him. So, and he also, the other thing about Strider, he doesn't just pad his stats against bad teams, he dominates elite teams. So I think that's a big piece as well. I think he's one of those guys. Obviously, concerns. There's the vulnerability of the injury coming back here. Maybe he lost a little bit of the velocity. You have to look at that. We'll know a little bit of that when he takes the mound in April, when we see him back on a mound in some capacity with the Braves. But adding a 4th pitch is something that I know the Braves are looking at over here. Maybe can help with the reliance on the fastball slider combination, but I like what Strider brought to the table. And again, people forgot how good he is, and hopefully he's going to remind everybody again.
Yeah, and I think the knock on him as far as those odds has to be like, when's he going to be full bore? Like, are they going to, that has to be why the odds aren't, are down there a little bit, I would think. But I mean, seeing what he did the other day in his first spring start, just striking out, 5 straight dudes, retiring all 6 batters he faced, and just looking straight up nasty, looking exactly like he did, was impressive. So yeah, I think that choice has to be on the minds of a lot of people right now. Well, we both had the Arizona Diamondbacks making a shocking Cinderella run in true March Madness fashion. And part of that, similar to Boston's acquisition of Garrett Crochet and him delivering, I think Corbin Burnes follows suit for Arizona and delivers comfortable near home, right? He chose to sign there, not just because of money. He actually apparently reached out to them to try to get their interest there. He wanted to be home near his young family. The comfort of pitching not far from home, I think, is going to be a big, big win for Corbin Burnes. This is the 2021 Cy Young winner, so he's done it before. Yeah, I know there's certain analytics, certain numbers that have decreased a little bit. Still an elite pitcher, still gonna be a guy that goes out there and very likely gives you 30 starts. And I think he's a big reason Arizona makes the playoffs this year and makes a significant run. So Corbin Burnes is my Cy Young.
So for the rookie of the year, I'll give you both of mine in one clip here. We'll do the same for you. For the AL, I have Jason Dominguez of the Yankees, the Martian, just out of hope here, keeping fingers crossed. They're going to need him. This is not just let's get his feet wet. No, he's going to be a huge piece of the Yankees lineup, and the Yankees are going to do anything this year. Jason Dominguez has to be a huge part of it. And on the National League side, I was very, very intrigued by this race, looking at some of the odds here for the futures. Looking at some of the names here, of course, like you want to go with maybe the Roki Sasaki, everyone is like circling. You want maybe Matt Shaw's been in the news a little bit here. I'm going with Dylan Cruz. And I think Dylan Cruz, obviously one of baseball's top prospects, bat to ball skills, what we saw from him. He's a serious rookie of the year contender. He is number 2 as far as futures go, plus 350. So it's not chalk, but it's close there. The number 2 pick back in 2023, more in lieu of what Paul Skeens did last year of jumping the pipeline here. And his arrival, part of that Nationals rebuild. We talked about the Nationals in the NL East episode. James Wood, CJ Abrams, of course, what they're bringing to the table here. And if you look at his 2024 minor league season in Double-A and then Triple-A, the numbers are impressive. And the exit velocity is what I mostly catches my eye. He's in the 95th percentile across all the minor league hitters last year, increasing his fly ball rate, pulling some of those pitches to power as well. And he's aggressive as well. So I think the expectations are really high for him. And again, not a lot of pressure over there in DC, just to have fun out there with this young core as they try to figure out who they are as an identity. They're a team to watch for sure. And I think Dylan Cruz is going to be a lot of fun.
I like that choice as well. In fact, I like it so much that I actually went with the same. So I'm not going to do a diatribe on Dylan Cruz because you just nailed it. I think part of the leg up he has on some of the other guys there is just starting the season right away. Right. Some of these other guys that I like a Bubba Chandler, we don't know when we're going to see him in the majors. If he was starting right away, I would maybe vote on a Pirates pitcher winning the Rookie of the Year the second year in a row, right? Which would be pretty cool. But we don't know when he's going to be here. Jordan Lawler, I love, but we don't really know what his role is yet for Arizona because he's kind of blocked in places. I do think he's going to be a piece there. But I still want to get some clarity there. Drake Baldwin, I like a lot. I expressed that in the NL East episode, and he's going to be the starting catcher for a very good Braves team to start. But the catching position, it's tough to win the Rookie of the Year from there because you're more than likely not playing every single day, right? You play 3 out of 4 days or so, something like that. So there's a knock there. And there's a few other guys as well, like Quinn Matthews, I like a lot. Agustin Ramirez for the Marlins, I like a lot. But more guys that you just don't know when they're going to be up. Luis Angel Acuna of my Mets, like him. It sounds like maybe he'll start in a platoon with Brett Beatty at second base while Jeff McNeil is out. I don't know when McNeil comes back what happens from there. So again, just too much unknown. Andrew Painter, another guy I love. When will he be here? The Phillies already have 5 very good starters. So I go with Dylan Cruz. Roki Sasaki, obviously the best odds. Maybe he gets a little knock for, having professional experience overseas before coming here. Maybe not. If he's dominant, he'll win it. But if it's close, I think Cruz gets it over him. Matt Shaw has capability as well. I like Cruz a little bit better. And to go back to Corbin Burns very quickly, his odds are plus 1,200, which I don't think that's a bad bet for Cy Young. On the AL side, I'm going with Jacob Wilson. I love this guy. Known as a bat-to-ball guy, put the ball in play with very little power. I think he's got 4 home runs, hit 2 the other day in spring. If that translates, and remember, they're playing in the heat of Sacramento, it's going to look pretty good. So Jacob Wilson is my guy for the A's. I'll get you the odds here real quick. And I really like this choice. So they have him right now where I'm looking at plus 800, which is the same odds I'm seeing for Christian Campbell. Roman Anthony's at plus 550. Dominguez, as you mentioned, your pick, plus 380, the leader right now. Jackson Jobe, plus 900. So I'll go ahead and take Jacob Wilson. I think he's going to be a fun part of an offense that should be relatively exciting.
Yeah, the divide between FanDuel and DraftKings, because I have the site open that has both of or even Bet365 of Jacob Wilson, is wild. FanDuel and Bet365 have him at plus 800, as you mentioned, but FanDuel has him at plus 1,300. So if you're feeling like that is the pick over there,
I see that now.
You should hop on FanDuel and pick that up over there because it's great value. It's interesting to see Anthony and Christian Campbell there as the 2 and 3 as far as the favorites go. Roman Anthony, of course, we talked about this at length, so I'm not going to bore you guys with the details again, but just the fact that we don't know exactly where they're going to fit in the puzzle piece that is the Boston season, we'd imagine they'd have a significant piece on that roster if they're too good to be denied. But as we mentioned before, you got to make room for them, and there's a lot of players at the bottom of that lineup that you said it. Yeah, you said it best during our last episode for episode 72. Who's leaving that lineup? And there's some really good pieces that won't have playing time. So it's a good problem to have, of course. You want too much, as we see with some of these injuries that happen, things do kind of fall into place. But for Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell, you have to sell me on that they're going to play the full year in Boston.
Yeah, I think that's why I stayed away from them. And interestingly enough, again, similar to what you just said about Jacob Wilson having significantly different odds, different places. So on DraftKings, Christian Campbell's plus 800, Roman Anthony's plus 550. And then FanDuel, Campbell's plus 700, Roman Anthony's plus 750. So like they have them reversed there. I almost bid on Jack Leiter based on how he's looked in spring, and it sounds like he's going to have a significant role here out of the gate, plus 3,500 in both places. So I just couldn't quite do it. He's just struggled so much at the major league level. I've got to see it first.
I agree with that. And you mentioned before you have a trade you want to share with everybody.
Yeah.
I'm also going to give the baton. It's like no surprise here. 3 straight years. He did it with 3 different teams. Luis Ariz of the San Diego Padres, contact machine, elite approach at the plate, and sort of like the defending champion. He's got to be beat before we think he's not going to do it. So this guy's in uncharted territory. Again, he's looking for his 4th straight batting title, and no one's talking about him. We had a whole episode where we discussed just about his performance on the field and why he's not talked about. I mean, he led the league in batting average, as I mentioned, 3 straight years, always circling around, near 330. This is a guy who remains the favorite every year for a title. And it's just interesting that nobody talks about him because he's so one-dimensional. His defense is mediocre, if not bad. And then obviously he's hitting mostly singles. So it's interesting because this is a player that probably we celebrate at legendary status if he played in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, I think he would be. That's a good choice. You really can't argue with that. Like you said, until someone takes him down. So I'm going to read you a quote before I say my trade. This player was sent down to AAA today. I'm not going to tell you the player right away. Let's see if you can guess who it is. So this guy described it as a lose-lose situation going back down to AAA. This is his full quote here. It definitely is difficult. It obviously sucks because you feel like you've proven everything you've needed to. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's quite enough. Obviously, you go back there, and if you have success, it's, oh, he's supposed to have success because he's already proven it. And if he doesn't have success, it's, oh, well, obviously he's fallen off. It's kind of a lose-lose going back to. Any idea whose quote that is?
I did see this quote earlier. It was Kobe Mayo, and it was
Yeah.
more conversations about what we've been hyping up on this podcast for months and months at this point, where you have these Orioles front office people looking at this team and not knowing where they are. And I think you put it best on our Twitter account. This is a shining example with the Red Sox after what I mentioned. Roman Anthony, I mentioned Christian Campbell. Obviously, we look at what they bring to the table, but you can't mess with this guy's production, and you can't send him down and send him up again. And good for Kobe Mayo speaking up. I mean, being sent down to AAA Norfolk has to be discouraging, especially all the talent he has out there. And it's a mental head game. These are players. These are human beings. These are not just sim characters where you can plug and play. This affects players negatively in their progression throughout their career. You cannot tell me otherwise.
Yeah, and I get it. A lot of fans were not happy with it because they're like, listen, you're 23, you're still young, you haven't performed at the major league level.
I saw some O's fans in our comments. If I click on it now, they were kind of telling you like, oh, he hasn't played well. But yeah, I understand that, but you haven't given him a chance to earn that job.
Right, and I get that you have Mountcastle and O'Hearn at first and Westberg and Urias at third. I get it, but I just don't like the way they've handled it, and it hasn't just been with Mayo. And he did actually come on towards the last week or two of spring. Like, he started hitting the ball hard and getting some hits. So he hasn't been bad the whole time. The numbers don't look good, but it's such a small sample size. When he says a quote like this out loud, it makes me think that he and others have talked about this, and he feels emboldened. I don't think if he's the only one in the clubhouse that feels this way, he says anything. It sounds like he and Heston Kjerstad and maybe a few others have had conversations. And the reason I'm reading this is because this relates to the trade I'm predicting. So last year, the Orioles tried to make a trade. They did move a couple decent prospects in Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers to get Trevor Rogers. We just didn't think the return was great. This year, I think they try a little harder. They still have a bunch of great prospects. And again, nowhere to really put them. I think the Orioles at the deadline pull off the trade for Sandy Alcantara, beat out a team like the Cubs, maybe even the Tigers, the Yankees, some others to get that big fish. And I think it's going to be Kobe Mayo and Vance Honeycutt, guy I like. We got his autograph down when we saw the Shorebirds at the low or the high A level, one of the A levels. He's a little further away, North Carolina stud. University of North Carolina stud. Outfielder, again, I just don't feel like that's a big need, even if he's a couple years away for the Orioles. So I have them trading Kobe Mayo and Vance Honeycutt to the Marlins for Sandy Alcantara, and the Marlins throw in relief pitcher Anthony Bender, who has a little bit of a proven track record. You could always use a little relief help. That's the deal that I'm predicting for the deadline.
I mean, the Orioles have to do something, and I think with Mayo, we know the hype that's around him. We know Heston Kjerstad as well. To me, it's just like a do or die year for the Orioles. I mean, I have them in my bracket not making the playoffs. You as well have them falling short.
First round exit.
This is one of those things that we're going to look at 10, 15 years down the line. If they're not able to just achieve sustained success with the window that they opened and it closes on them, and we see, worst case scenario, a rebuild in the future because they mishandled the prospects. This is an all-time fumble, in my opinion, of what it is to build a team, because we go back 2 years ago when they surprised everybody. And of course there's expectations, and, sometimes teams fold under that. I mean, for God's sakes, we saw the Dodgers fold under the pressure up until last year. Like, everyone was saying, can they win the big series? We get it. I understand that. But for the Orioles not to invest in this team with the young talent, and again, I feel like I'm beating the same drum over and over again, but for someone out there, this ownership team, you have to invest in this team and put a product on the field that supports the young players. And they have to trade for an arm. I mean, it's the most obvious thing. MLB The Show just came out. I mean, anybody would make this deal in their season mode. I mean, come on. This is just an obvious one-on-one situation. And just because you want to win a certain type of way doesn't make you the smartest guy in the room. It makes you an egotistical front office. Find a way to invest in this team and get a goddamn ace at the front of this line.
Yeah, one of the Orioles fans, and he's a good guy. We've gone back and forth for a few different things. He's reposted our stuff, so no hate on him. But one of the people in the comments said, said that he thinks the Orioles rotation is better than people realize, and they're going to surprise some people. I find that hard to believe. I don't think it's the worst rotation in the league. I think it's just disappointing that they have a clear path to make it better, and they just haven't succeeded in that way. One of these days, we'll get through an episode without shitting on the front office of the Baltimore Orioles, but it's not today. Not today. So anyway, listen, if you listen to the episode, you're welcome. You have every prediction. It's like Marty McFly when he went back in the past and got that book that showed all the results of the championships, right? And so he could bet on everything, or he went into the future. I don't know. One of those things. It's a confusing movie sometimes. And it's basically, this episode is giving you the answers to the future. And if we're completely wrong, we're going to delete the episode. It's like it never happened. So please don't speak of it.
Well, if you look at just, again, 3 months ago, there was a report really exposed the Orioles front office that they only want to win a certain type of way. There's no reason that we should.
I didn't mean to fire you up here. It's my bad.
Dude,
I shouldn't have brought up Kobe Mayo.
I understand. I understand that it's the same thing over and over again, but it's infuriating to watch. At a novice level, you can see this team is an arm and some investment away from just having a sustained window of 10 years. After having, by the way, almost 15 years of being non-competitive, a non-entity, a non-factor in the league, where you had road fans filling up your ballpark, and that was the biggest gates of your year. This is a beautiful ballpark, a top 5 ballpark in all of baseball. They finally have the talent there. The fans deserve it. Invest in this team.
I do wonder if there's a little jealousy on some of these guys' parts of, like, Jackson Holliday gets drafted and pretty much like the same year gets called up, and he's not good, and he's being given the green light again, while these other guys have been there a little longer, a little older, and it's just like, back and forth yo-yo effect. So I don't know.
If all these guys don't hit, if all these guys don't hit, we need to take a deep dive into player development and how not to do it. I think this team, they need to be held accountable for the development.
I mean, Gunnar hits.
All these guys are missing.
Gunnar hits. Jordan Westberg hits. Like, Colton Cowser hits pretty damn well. So I don't think it's an organizational. I don't think it's an organization that can't coach hitting by any means, because there's been plenty of guys, young guys, that have come up and have looked really good. I don't know what it is about certain dudes, but I mean, that jump from AAA to MLB, we're seeing it more and more. People are getting there faster, but they're not always sticking around. It can be a little bit of a struggle, even if you're just absolutely killing AAA. I mean, Brett Beatty, chance number 1,000,000 this year, again killing it in spring. He's the ultimate quad A player over the last couple of years. Just looks like an absolute stud at the AAA level, and comes up and just cannot reproduce it.
I still think Jackson Holliday will be a good player. And I think he'll be a great player. Honestly, I really do. I think everything is there, and I really believe it becomes a mental game for some of these guys. Should we
do another hour on the Orioles right now?
Want to so badly. You and I will do it off air. We do appreciate you guys checking this out. Of course, we are going through all of the divisions as we just did. We did the brackets. So if you guys are looking to be primed for the season, or you have someone that was sleeping all winter, they didn't follow baseball, go catch up in the archives. It's evergreen content at this point. Get it while it's fresh, because eventually, as the season continues, it will become sort of old news at this point. So use it right now to be the smartest baseball fan in your friend group or your family. Inform your dad who just woke up and said, oh, the Mets, the Yankees, the Cardinals are back. I have no idea what's going on. Well, guess what? You listen to Tablesetters, you know exactly what's going on from top to bottom. You know Devin absolutely loves the greatest fans in baseball, St. Louis, Missouri, the Arch. What else is in St. Louis? Randy Orton's from St. Louis. Got the Blues. I'm sure you like the Blues, right?
Yeah, I like the Blues. I like, like good
Gloria. They won. Yeah, they had the chinchilla during the Stanley Cup Finals. All that stuff. Gloria.
Yeah,
that whole run.
It's just the best fans in baseball that I really like a lot.
Is it? I don't want to deep dive into it, but does it have to do with the Beltran thing? Or is that what it's all about? Does it boil down to the Beltran moment?
You're asking me if the 2006 NLCS still haunts me?
No, I know it haunts you, but is that the reason you hate the Cardinals?
It doesn't help.
No, but did you hate them prior to that?
I don't remember. My life before hating the Cardinals seems like
let me play some music behind this while you're saying why you hate the Cardinals. Let me find some nice music.
Am I going to hate this? What is this going to be? Listen, my life, I can barely remember what my life was like before I started hating the Cardinals. I remember Scott Spezio's dumb red beard. That's what I remember. Andy Chavez making one of the greatest catches in postseason history, and then them losing anyway, right? Like guys like John Maine and Oliver Perez, like pitching out of their minds after we lost El Duque and Pedro Martinez before the postseason started. And then Carlos Beltran just staring at what was honestly one of the nastiest pitches I've ever seen with the bases loaded. So yeah, that has a little bit of a part in it. But anyway, clearly the best fans in baseball. Let's not argue about it.
Well, you heard it here first. Again, we'll be back next week. Who knows what kind of episode? Of course, previewing the real opening day stateside, talking about all the stuff you need to know about baseball. I know we have some guests that we want to get here on the docket. We will be talking NCAA baseball. I'm chomping at the bit. I'm talking to any random person that I run into in the stores, and they want to talk about Michigan baseball and what we saw with that celebration. Might be the best celebration in all of baseball history at third base. Come on, dude. That was ridiculously awesome.
Yeah,
cover
your kids' eyes. Daddy, what's that? Why is he sniffing the dirt?
How was he the first person to ever do that? And Lenny Dykstra never slid into third and did that. How did Lenny Dykstra never pull that off?
Dykstra was busy doing the real thing.
Well, with that being said, please follow us
on
your
Instagram. Taxes. Everybody do your taxes. Tax Act.
Follow us on Instagram and on the X Machine at Tablesetters Pod. Please leave a 5-star review. Tell your friends about baseball is coming back. We are so damn excited. And thank you for joining us along this journey. We'll be back next week and we'll talk to you after a while. Do your taxes.